Fine white powder, dry as flour, slick between the fingers. $4 a box. That is borax. Now go open the cabinet under your kitchen sink. Go on. Count what is in there. A fellow up the road counted his. 31 bottles. The all-purpose spray, the glass cleaner, the toilet pucks, the drain gel, the tub scrub, the mold spray, the bleach, the dishwasher pods. Now read the ounces on the bottom of each one and understand that every one of them runs out. That is the design. Not one thing in that cabinet does more than one job. My name is Wade Caudill, and the last cleaning product I bought in a bottle, I bought in 1994. No contractor, no permit, nothing ordered and waited on. Set that cabinet aside a minute. What sat in my grandmother's mason jar is sodium borate, a mineral scraped out of dried lake beds. One $4 box does 14 jobs in a house. Against $320 a year in wash products alone, and $4,000 to $6,000 in termite and mold work over the life of a house. All 14 runs under $50 in materials, one time, and most hold for decades. It does not do everything a bottle does, and I will tell you where it quits. We start where you can see it work tonight, and work outward to the wood you never look at. And there is one place on your property where this powder must never touch the ground, because it sterilizes that dirt for months. I will tell you exactly where. Hang on for that one. Most folks think it cleans because it is a soap. It is not. It is a mineral salt, and when it dissolves, it pushes the water alkaline, up around a pH of 9. Grease does not hold on at 9. It lets go. That same water binds up the calcium and magnesium that ruin your soap and leaves a surface mold cannot get a start on. One mineral. 4 things at once. The first one is the wash. Try it first, because one load tells you whether I am telling you the truth. Half a cup of borax goes straight into the drum, before the clothes and before the soap. Half a coffee mug, if you do not care to hunt up a measure. Then your detergent, and run it as hot as the fabric will take. About 6 cents a load. Here is why it works. Hard water is full of calcium and magnesium, and those two grab your soap before it ever reaches the dirt. That gray cast on a white t-shirt that will not wash out no matter what you buy, that is your soap and your water fighting each other. The borax binds the calcium up and takes it out of the fight, and the alkaline lets the body oil in a collar release instead of smearing sideways. It also kills what makes a folded towel smell like a damp cellar 2 hours after you put it away. Done right, a white towel comes out with no perfume on it at all. Just cotton. Done wrong is easy to spot too. Dump it into a cold, heavy load, and it sits in the bottom of the drum undissolved, and you get nothing for your 6 cents. Warm water, always. My grandmother scooped hers out of a mason jar her own mother used before her. Same jar, same powder. The stuff came out of the California desert on wagons pulled by mule teams, 20 animals to a hitch, back before anybody in this county had a wringer washer. It sat on the kitchen shelf in half the houses in America through the 40s and 50s, and folks used it for everything without instructions because their mothers had. Nothing about it changed. What changed was the shelf. Second one. Take a coffee mug gone brown on the inside from 20 years of use, the kind you would be embarrassed to hand a visitor. Fill it with hot water from the tap. Drop in 1 level teaspoon of borax, about what sits on the end of your thumb, and walk away for 20 minutes. Come back and rinse it, and mind you, no pad, no scrubbing, no elbow. Coffee and tea leave tannin behind, and tannin is acidic. Alkaline water dissolves it and lifts it off. And the powder is just barely abrasive at the grain, enough to take the stain, not enough to scratch a glaze. I did it to a steel thermos I had already set out to throw away. It came back. Third, 2 level tablespoons of borax on the floor of the dishwasher before you start the cycle, plus your regular pods or powder on top of that. What you get back is glass without the gray fog on it. Now, the reason your dishwasher quit working as well as it used to has nothing to do with your machine getting old. 15 years or so back, the phosphates came out of automatic dishwasher detergent, and the phosphates were the part that softened the water. The formulas that replaced them clean fine and soften nothing, so every hard water house in the country started pulling cloudy glasses out at the same time and blaming the appliance. The borax puts the softening back. 2 tablespoons, pennies, fourth. A quarter cup of borax sprinkled around the bowl before bed, what would cover the bottom of a coffee mug, left overnight, brushed out in the morning. No blue puck hanging in the tank, no bleach smell in a closed bathroom. A puck runs about $4 and gives you a week. A quarter cup of borax is about 9 cents and gives you a night, every night, and it works on the ring instead of coloring the water. The alkaline sits against hard water scale for 8 hours and lifts it, and it takes the smell in the trap with it. A ring that has been there for years will want 3 or 4 nights running. It will give up. Fifth is the kitchen drain, and this one is prevention, not rescue. Half a cup down the drain once a week, then a full kettle of hot water behind it, about 2 quarts, poured slow. Grease goes down your sink warm and liquid and turns solid 8 feet out where the pipe runs cold. It builds a rind on the inside of the line whether you can see it or not. The alkaline water keeps that rind from setting up in the first place. I have not paid a man to snake a kitchen line in 4 years. Last time I did, it was $140 before he ever put a hand on a wrench. Sixth, and folks will not believe this one until they run it, equal parts borax and powdered sugar. 1 part to 1 part, and for a whole house a quarter cup of each, stirred together dry in a jar until you cannot tell them apart, is plenty. It goes in the dark places, behind the refrigerator, in the gap behind the dishwasher, up under the toe kick of the base cabinets, along the back of the pantry shelf. Thin, a dusting, not a pile. That is where the roaches run, and it is where a child or a dog has no business being, which is exactly why it goes there and not out in the open. Here is why it beats a spray. A spray kills what it touches. This does not. The sugar is the invitation, and the borax is the freight, and the roach carries it back to where the rest of them are. It dries them out from the inside, slow, over days, so give it 2 weeks before you judge it. The same dust takes ants along a foundation line, and worked into carpet with a broom, left 1 hour, then vacuumed out thorough, it takes fleas. Seventh, and this is the one I would write down. Strip the bed. Sprinkle about 1 cup of borax across the whole surface of a queen mattress, 60 inches by 80, and work it down into the ticking with a stiff brush, not a soft one. Let it sit 1 hour, then vacuum it out slow, twice over, and once more along the seams. Every mattress in this country is carrying dust mites. They do not live on you, mind you. They live on what falls off you, and they need the damp your body puts into that mattress every night. The borax pulls that moisture and carries the alkaline in with it, and neither one is a place a mite can keep house. The sprays sold for this run $20 a bottle, and you breathe whatever is in them for 8 hours a night with your face in it. This is about 12 cents, and it is gone before the sheet goes back on, once a season. Flip it while you are in there. Everything up to here is inside the house, and you can do all of it tonight. The next stretch is different. The next stretch is the wood your house is standing on, and it is the part my neighbor did not believe until he pulled a floor joist out of his crawl space and brought it up to show me what 30 years of not doing it looks like. Eighth is a paste, and it does 2 jobs. 1 part borax to 1 part lemon juice, by volume. A quarter cup of each makes plenty for an afternoon. Stir it to about the thickness of toothpaste. If it runs, add powder. If it crumbles, add juice. On rust, lay it on thick enough that you cannot see metal through it. Leave it 15 minutes. Scrub it off with steel wool. The lemon acid breaks the iron oxide loose, and the powder gives you grit to carry it away, and neither one is hard enough to eat the good metal underneath. I brought back a cast iron skillet my grandfather handed me in 1979 that I had already carried out to the shed to quit on, one afternoon. It looks like it did when he gave it to me. On grout, same paste, an old toothbrush, and some patience. Work it into the joint. Leave it 15 minutes. scrub, rinse clear. The grout in my own shower had been gray 11 years, and I had made my peace with it. It came white in one Saturday morning. Under $1 in lemon juice and a quarter cup of powder. Ninth, and I'll tell you what, this is the big one. This is where a $4 box does a job people pay thousands for. Here is the solution, and it is the same solution for the next 2 uses, so mix a batch. 1 full 1-pound box of borax into 1 gallon of hot water, hot as your tap runs, near about 130 degrees. Stir it until the water goes clear and you cannot feel grit on the bottom of the bucket. Then 1 cup of glycerin, a coffee mug full, stirred in behind it. The glycerin is not there to clean anything. It is there to slow the water down so the mineral has time to walk into the wood instead of drying on the face of it. Then you take it under the house. Brush or spray it onto any bare wood within 18 inches of the ground. The sill plate along the top of the foundation, the floor joists, the bottom 2 feet of every porch post, the band board. If it is bare and it is low, it gets a coat, and a second coat an hour behind the first. Now the mechanism, because you ought to know why you are crawling under a house on a Saturday. Termites and rot fungus both eat cellulose, and both need a certain chemistry in the wood to digest it. Borate rides into the fiber with the water and stays when the water leaves, and it shuts that digestion down. It does not repel anything, and it does not poison the ground around your house. It just makes the wood not worth eating. Out of the rain, that treatment holds 20 to 30 years. A professional termite inspection and pre-treatment on a house this size runs $1,500 to $3,000. Your bucket runs about $8. And here is the one condition: plain. This is for wood that stays dry. Rain washes borate right back out. Anything exposed to weather, anything sitting in wet ground, that is not what this is for. Now, the people who sell termite work have known about borate since before I was born. It is not a secret, and never was. But a bucket you mix one time in your life does not put a man in a truck on your road every spring with a clipboard and an annual renewal. There is no plot to it. A thing that lasts 30 years cannot be sold to you 30 times. 10th is that same bucket, sprayed instead of brushed, and it goes on the block. Cinder block walls, poured concrete, the underside of a subfloor, the back of a crawl space. Wet it until it runs off the face, and let it dry where it lands. Do not rinse it. The white haze it leaves behind is the point. Mold needs a surface it can sit on, and a pH it can live in, and it will not colonize alkaline. The mineral stays in the pores of that block, and holds the surface where mold cannot start. I did the north wall of my own basement 4 years ago, after water got in during a hard spring. There was a black patch down in the corner that came back every year, regular as the dogwoods. It has not come back once in 4 springs. Under $3 for the wall. 11th, same solution again, garden sprayer, and you go up instead of down. The underside of your attic decking, and the inside of any open wall cavity. Borate-treated cellulose does not carry flame the way bare wood does. When the heat comes up, treated wood chars and holds instead of catching and running. It does not make your house fireproof, and I would not let anybody tell you it does. What it does is buy minutes, and minutes are the only currency there is in a house fire. One afternoon with a sprayer, and what is left in the bucket. 12th is a trick out of every barn interior my grandfather ever whitewashed. Half a cup of borax stirred into 1 gallon of latex paint, stirred hard until it is gone, before you cut in the first corner. The mineral goes into the paint film and stays there. Fungus will not grow on the film. Insects will not nest against it. And the paint lasts longer, not because the paint got better, but because what is under it stopped rotting. It does not change the color, and it does not change the sheen. Basement wall, garage, shed, barn interior. I would not do it on the front room wall somebody is going to lean a hand against. My grandfather kept his jar in the shed, and my grandmother would send me out for a refill when the kitchen one got low. That shed had a dirt floor and a tin roof, and it was full of things he did not intend to replace. His tools hung on nails with the handles all pointing the same direction. He was not a man who talked about self-sufficiency. I never once heard him use the word. He just did not care to pay somebody for a thing he could handle himself. 13th, and here is where I told you we were going. 1 level tablespoon of borax into 1 quart of warm water, shaken until it runs clear, in a spray bottle. Wet the leaves of anything coming up through a crack in your driveway, along the base of a fence line, in the gravel of a barn apron, not the ground, the leaves. It is gone inside of a week. Boron in small amounts is something plants actually need. In more than small amounts it is the opposite, and it does not break down and it does not wash out fast. That is why it works, and it is exactly why I am telling you where it must never go. Never on a lawn. Never on garden soil, never in a bed, never within 10 feet of roots you intend to keep. It sterilizes that dirt for months, and there is no undoing it but time and rain. Watch which way your driveway sheds water too, because it sheds toward something. Gravel, cracks, and bare aprons. That is the whole territory. 14th, 1 level teaspoon of borax into 1 quart of warm water. Wipe it onto leather with a rag that is damp, not wet. Then wipe it right back off. Do not let it stand, and do not soak the leather. Then condition it with neatsfoot oil once it has dried, the same day. The solution kills the mildew that gets a start down in the grain, and the oil puts back what the water took out. That is a pair. You do not do the one without the other. Work boots, a belt, a saddle, a leather tool roll hanging in a shed through a wet Kentucky summer. Harness makers have done this a good while, 200 years near enough, and the reason is simple. Leather in this climate does not wear out. It molds out. I'll tell you what, let me run the whole thing by you one time, slow, so you can write it down. You need 1 box of borax, 1 pound, about $4. A gallon of hot water, 1 cup of glycerin, a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar, a stiff brush, an old toothbrush, a garden sprayer, and a 5-gallon bucket. That is the entire kit, the formulas. Wash, 1/2 cup in the drum before the soap, hot water. Stained cups, 1 level teaspoon in a mug of hot tap water, 20 minutes. Dishwasher, 2 level tablespoons on the floor of the machine plus your normal detergent. Toilet, a 1/4 cup dry in the bowl overnight. Drains, 1/2 cup down the kitchen line once a week, with 2 quarts of hot water behind it. Roach and ant dust, 1 part borax to 1 part powdered sugar, dusted thin in the dark places only. Mattress, 1 cup across a queen, brushed in, 1 hour, vacuumed out. Rust and grout paste, 1 part borax to 1 part lemon juice, toothpaste thickness, 15 minutes. The wood solution does 3 jobs. 1 pound of borax into 1 gallon of hot tap water, near about 130 degrees, stirred clear, then 1 cup of glycerin. Brush it on bare wood within 18 inches of the ground, sills, joists, the bottom 2 feet of porch posts. Spray it on block walls and the underside of subfloor for mold, and on the underside of attic decking for char resistance. Dry locations only, 2 coats an hour apart, 20 to 30 years where rain cannot reach it. Paint, 1/2 cup of borax per gallon of latex, stirred in before you start. Weeds, 1 level tablespoon in 1 quart of warm water, on the leaves, gravel and cracks only. Never on soil you want anything to grow in again. Leather, 1 level teaspoon in 1 quart of warm water, wiped on, wiped off, then neatsfoot oil the same day. All 14, on a 3-bedroom house, comes in under $50 in materials. 1 box, 1 weekend, and most of it you will not touch again for 20 years. By Sunday evening you will have a white towel that smells like cotton and nothing else, a clear glass out of the dishwasher, a bowl with no ring in it, and 18 inches of dry treated wood between your floor and the ground under your house. Under $50, all of it, One time. Tell me which one of these your own grandmother did. I reckon half of you will say the laundry, and the other half will say something I have never heard of, and I read every one. Next time out I am going into the other jar, the white vinegar jar, and there is one use in there that takes a hard water shower head that has quit spraying straight and brings it back to new overnight, with one thing already sitting on your counter. Look after the things you have got, and they will look after you. I will see you next time.